Hello there everybody, it's HeroicLegend here, and we're back with another Heroic Talks. Now, I wanted this topic to be on fear, and, what terrifies people. And, I mean terrify as in, the fear doesn't just hit you on the conscious level, but on the subconscious level. And a good basis for that is the unknown, because the unknown can be anything. It can be what definitely scares you, it can be what least scares you. It can go from, this is a fun trip, to where are we going, why are we going, I want to go home. And everything in between. Pardon me. And how about we start off this with an example. What scares me? On a subconscious level, I don't know too many things that do super horrify me. Besides things that actually, cause me to stay up at night. But I want to get sleep, so I'm gonna stick to what scares me on the conscious level. And an example of that is spiders. Now, I know this is a very basic fear, it's not anything out there, oh, YouTubers scared by spiders, it's amazing. But my fear of spiders, it's not arachnophobia. At least I hope it never becomes that, because it has evolved. For a while, just seeing a spider upset me and disturbed me, and instead of greeting it with like, oh, you keep the bad insects away, I would greet it with a shoe, or a sandal, or anything to kill it, but I would never want it to come in close to my hands. Any part of exposed flesh, I was away from that thing, and at just a very young age, I was affected. I was around 8 or so when I got my book on animals of all sorts, and in there was a section about spiders. Now at the time I didn't think much of spiders, I just thought they were like any other insect, even though they're not, before someone jumps down my throat. But I read up on the black widow spider, and at that time I had somewhat grasped the concept of death, or of something you should be afraid of. And the book made mention that the spider's venom is so deadly it can kill you quickly, and even though the black widow is not anywhere near me, it was enough of a scare that it jolted me. It shook me. I wasn't the bravest as a kid, compared to my toddler self, I guess. But what I was slightly rational, or as rational as a kid can get, I guess. But I didn't let too much. I try not to let too much bother me, but I would avoid things that scared me. So spiders was on that list until I actually had to confront one day. And that's when I learned violence against what you fear is just as effective as, not being afraid of it. Or just trying to brave through it. It's a way of being brave. If you imagine closing your eyes and swinging wildly as being brave, that's brave. In fact, I have to put this too, just don't attack anything you're afraid of. Please. I mean, attack it with a mental attack, not a physical attack. But recently, we were looking up a certain type of spider that I knew to be the roach killer. And it's called the cane spider, and it's unique in its properties, and this sticks with me in that it's not your standard spider. It doesn't build a web and then just eat its victims. It may build a web, but what it does is it kills its prey, and it will devour it on the spot. What I read was correct, or what I remember is correct. And I thought that was unique, because that's the type of predator that doesn't act like a standard one. Most creatures, when they attack their food, want to eat their food right after to avoid any other predators from coming along and taking their meal. But these spiders supposedly will continue to attack prey in sight until it's cleared out its prey in that area, and then it will consume the bodies. And I'm like, that's a great thing to have if you're infested with roaches or any type of insect that you want out of your home. I think I even read that 2 cane spiders in an apartment that's infested can clear it out from 2 to 3 months. And that's impressive. And I also discovered they're not deadly to humans or animals, and they're afraid of humans. So now the question begs, why am I scared of it? Why does it still, why is why are spiders still bad if I know that there are some good ones out there? If I know that there are spiders like the cane spider? And that's because it shook me on a subconscious level. It was so much that when we tried to look up pictures of it, me and my brother, I started to freeze and freak out a bit while looking at pictures of spiders, and I wanted him to click off the screen. I wasn't petrified. It wasn't like the people who have the phobia where they lock up or they freeze, where they can't function. I could still function, but it unnerved me so much that I felt such anxiety over it. And I didn't want to see it anymore. I almost looked away and like left the room until he closed it. But that's an example of like fear that I want to see more in horror games. You know, I want the player who's playing to not be just scared of the jump scares, but to be scared on multiple levels. This is now as good a time as ever. I do run a roleplay blog on Tumblr for a character I created called the Nightmarist. What I like to do on him from time to time is, thanks to my writing being the way it is, I like to send people who have characters little nightmares for them to help build off their characters. And I've met with some amazing results. People have loved the way I wrote characters, and I wrote the specific type of thing that caused the nightmare to be so potent. Because again, I got into what would scare this character. I took a second out of my own head and dipped into the mindset. And I feel like that's what's stopping some game developers. They don't want to dip into the mindset of the player, of how the player's going to feel. Because again, I can write a story that has basic fears. Darkness, for me, spiders, the unknown. It's easy to write that stuff. It's harder to scare someone with your writing, though. Because again, I'm not going to lie. Visual depictions of things I fear, you got me. I'm dead. If I saw a giant mutant spider up in my grill like, sup buddy, I might actually faint. Like, legit just clock out. I'm done. Heroic gone for today. You're meeting with his new soul, which has infested this body. His name is Leviathan. Leviathan, you take over because Heroic's done. Bye, Heroic. But, and again, going back to the writing part, it's always such a struggle sometimes to write something that would actually scare someone, because I also do like to use tragedy, which helps in that. And this happens a lot with the horror movies that I've seen, there's never really a satisfying ending. You know, it may be because, yes, they want to print out sequels, and I'm not judging them for wanting more money. If you have an iconic IP, go for it, but horror stories should close the book and let the... Horror stories and horror games should just kind of close the book on things once it's done. You've told your story, that's it. Your story has had its grand conclusion, and even though it's a downer, it's better than just having these people survive just to die in the next thing. You know? Again, I want the fear to be that this guy could be real, you know? To use an example, I was watching, because again I do like to credit people, Linkara, and he was doing the Nightmare on Elm Street comics. And Freddy is such a good concept for a villain, you know? You give him power because you're scared, but if you're not scared, you can take away from his power. Though at the same time, the constant fear is what's reality and what's a dream. And that shakes you on a subconscious level, because I'm sure we've all had thoughts like that. What if I'm not really awake right now? Hell, I've had it bother me so many times, like, what if I'm not awake right now? What if I'm actually sleeping and this hasn't been my day? You know, I'll actually smack my own arm or pinch myself and be like, nope, certain I'm awake. But then it gets me on another level, because I'm like, well, I do know that you can still feel, your physical body can still feel things, so what if at the exact moment I pinch myself, I'm actually still dreaming and being pinched? And that I'm geeking out a little bit, but that fucks with you. It fucks with you in such a wonderful way, because that's a type of fear that gets under your skin, that makes your skin crawl, and it's so terrifying and tormenting. It's a heavy grasp on your heart and your thoughts, and that's what I want to see. Not play, mind you, because I'm not a masochist over here. I do like my good night's sleep. But again, with all these great things we have out there to be influences and inspire people. I want to see more horror that touches you on more than one level. And I'm not talking about like the game story has to touch you on that, like, oh, this is where we're heading, or like future shit. No, I'm talking, I want something that's not gonna bother you for a bit before you think about other things. I want something that comes back to you because it was such a good scare. I don't mean like a good scare like this is an impending, looming feeling. I mean a good scare like it comes back every so often to mess with you, to fuck with you. Like, let's say an example, for those of you who watched the previous episode, let's say I really did have a very low-key version of fear about opening doors. And then I open a door, and there's pitch black, and I bump into something I don't know was there. And instantly, I'm brought right back to the fact that I should fear doors because I don't know where the next one's going to lead. Or I crave the outside because being indoors is what got me in that situation. And again, these are some of the thoughts that come to me, guys. This is without the influence of anything. I wish I was influenced by stuff, because I could just quit it and be, like, normal. But something for another time. I did want to just share these thoughts on, fear and such, and how it can be used into it can be put to greater use, is what I'm trying to, I guess, get to here, with all these stories and tangents that don't connect very well. And we'll probably not have a very good matching game in the background. But I do want to thank you for listening to me and, going on with this. Again, it's Halloween. I feel like I should try and get into the spirit a little more, go for things of scary natures and such, and try to, promote the feeling of having a good-natured ribbing of people's fears and scaring people. Because again, we all enjoy the occasional jump scare and laugh at it, but we don't really get into the fears that, you need to make jokes about. But again, I want to thank you all for watching and enjoying this. Thank you all for listening, and until the next episode, laters.